Okay, members, it's 5 o'clock. Welcome to this remote meeting of the Joint Scrutiny Committee held on Monday, the 22nd of February 2021 at 5 p.m. Before I start the meeting, I just need to read this declaration that this meeting will be recorded and made available to view via the Council's website, except for discussions involving confidential or exempt items. Therefore, the images and audio of those individuals speaking will be publicly available to all via the recording on the Council's website at www.caerphilly.gov.uk. Okay, we'll go on to the first agenda item, and that's to receive apologies for absence. Can I ask the scrutiny manager if there have been any recorded absences?
Yes, Chair. We have apologies from Councillor John Bevan, Councillor David Hardacre, Councillor David Haas, Councillor Gaynor Oliver, and one of the co-opted members in education, Tracy Millington. Okay,
thank you, Kath. If there's any other declaration, if there's any other apologies for absence, please can any member indicate? Councillor Colin Mann.
Yeah, I just phoned in for Donna Cushion, Chair.
Okay, thank you, Colin.
I think I put it to Emma rather than Kath, so.
Okay. Councillor Hussey.
Councillor Jeremiah sends his apologies, Chair.
Okay, Councillor Jeremiah. Councillor Phipps.
Yes, I got to Councillor Jim J.
Hello?
But if not, could I pass on her apologies, please?
But before I go any further, members, we've asked quite a number of times now, can you please mute your microphones, and can you please go off the video if you can? I know there'll be some technical issues. We've received some background information noise then. There's a lot of people in the meeting, so if you could please do that as best as we can. Let's just hope the meeting can go swimmingly. Okay then. Okay, we'll move on now. Item number 2, declarations of interest. Kath, obviously there's a number of proposed projects that will be in members' wards. Now I'm aware that it probably isn't the case at this stage of declaring any interest, but can you elaborate on what members might need to declare any interest at this stage?
I would just say, members, if there's anything particular on one of the projects that you feel you want to declare, you could declare personal interest. Prejudicial would have to be a lot more detail surrounding the project in terms of your personal involvement for you in order to declare a prejudicial interest. So if there's anything remotely connected to you, you might want to declare personal interest.
Okay. Yeah, first of all, I'll bring in Councillor Aldworth. Can you please, all members, indicate with the hands up?
Sorry,
hands up
can I just reiterate, if members are declaring because they're school governors, that's not, they wouldn't need to declare for that purpose because they've been appointed by the local authority.
Okay, Councillor Aldworth, please.
Dismiss that request, please.
Okay, Councillor Davis, did you want to come in?
Yes, could we clarify the 3 members on the fire authority where we declare a personal interest? Because of the levy factor.
I would say that'll just be a personal interest, Councillor Davis.
Well, I declare a personal interest then.
Okay, those are noted, Councillor Davis. Anybody else? Councillor Adams?
Thank you, Chair. There will be one of the items on there, which is the redevelopment that will be taking place at the lower end of the former Pontefraith Comprehensive School. I actually overlook it. So I think it's important, if and when it comes to planning, I will probably have to declare an interest then.
Okay.
Because of my...
Okay. Yeah. At this stage, I'm not sure from listening to what Kath has said whether you need to declare it now. If any members want to, that's entirely up to them.
I just wanted to note it. Yeah, I will be taking full part in the meeting and voting when required.
Okay, Councillor Hussey.
All right. The same as a personal one, Chair, same as Tudor.
Okay, thanks, Councillor Hussey. Councillor Aldworth, you've still got your hand up. Is that an old hand, or did you want to come back in?
I apologise. It's second hand. I dismiss it, please. Sorry.
Not a problem at all. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Councillor Aldworth. Okay, in that case, now then we will go on to. Can you, if you can? Oh, thank you, Councillor Aldworth. Right. Okay, we'll go on now to item agenda number 3. That's the minutes of the joint scrutiny held on 15th of December 2020. Can I ask for these minutes to be moved and seconded? Only members of the Environment and Sustainability and Housing and Regen Scrutiny Committees should be on this item.
Move, Mr. Chairman.
I'll second, Chair.
Second.
Okay. Kath, is this one goes to a vote now? Okay, members. Forms will be appearing. If you can vote for, against, or abstain. So Tom Williams. Oh, okay. Councillor Wynne David. Councillor David, did you want to come in?
I'm voting for, but I can't get the thing to move.
Excellent, thank you. Can we record Councillor Davis's vote in favour? Okay, we are now in a position to accept the vote.
That's moved, Chair.
Okay, excellent. Thanks, members, for that. Okay, now we go on to item number 4. That's the minutes of the joint scrutiny held on the 14th of January 2021. Can I ask for somebody to move and second this, please?
I'll move it, Chair.
Okay.
I move a second.
Okay. Councillor Mann, did you want to come in?
Just to say, I won't be voting on this one as I missed a large part of the meeting.
That's fine. Councillor David, did you want to come back in again? Is it a verbal vote, Councillor David? Is that right?
My sound's breaking up. I didn't hear what you said, and I can't vote.
All right. You voted. Okay, in that case, we'll take it orally. Councillor David, would you like to vote for, against, or abstain?
For.
Thank you.
That's moved, Chair.
Okay, thank you, members. Can we remember to please mute our microphones? I just picked up a bit of background information then, so members could all remember to do that. Okay. Okay, we now move on then to agenda item 5. That's the Caerphilly Wellbeing and Place Shaping Framework. This is the major part of the meeting. Just to explain to members where I'm going to go with this, the leader, Councillor Philippa Marsden, will begin by setting out the priorities going forward. I'll then ask the Chief Executive, Christina Harry, to give another overview. And then what I'll be doing, instead of just going straight through the report and then questions at the end, after every performance, after every objective, I'll be calling in the responsible cabinet member to speak. And then after every cabinet member has spoken on each of their individual parts of their portfolio, then it's open to the floor. Okay then. So can I call in Councillor Philippa Marsden, please?
Thank you, Chair. And thank you all for joining us this evening for a special joint meeting of Scrutiny to consider our exciting new place shaping framework. You would have all heard reference being made to the place shaping over recent months, in fact years, but I'm conscious that many of you will not be familiar with the full details of the significant programme of investment and improvement. This meeting has been called to give members the chance to explore and discuss these proposals in detail and ask any questions you may have. I know Christina will be providing you with a detailed presentation about the place shaping framework shortly, but before she does, I want to give you a brief overview of the key aspects of this exciting agenda. The key headlines is that we are recognising £485 million package of investment. We are ploughing almost £500 million into transforming our county borough, a staggering amount of money, I'm sure you will agree. This investment will support our communities as we emerge out of the pandemic, providing optimism and resilience for the future. This £485 million is divided into three key elements. £153 million, which is the amount spent so far between 2017 and 2020 on the major investment packages, including new school developments, highway improvements, including Pushlepant roundabout, council house improvement as part of the WHQS investment and investment in 3G pitches. £129 million. This is an investment currently underway on agreed projects such as demolition of properties at Haverdrunners Hill, Charters Garden housing development, WHQS improvements and leisure facilities, including a new running track at Oakdale and additional 3G pitch investments. £231 million. This is planned investment for the future, involving a wide range of proposals that will be subject to consultation and engagement with the community as part of our place shaping conversation. What we are proposing is an ambitious blueprint that will set the direction of investment across the county borough over the coming years. Consultation and engagement is a fundamental part of this process, so we will ensure that residents are encouraged to have their say and help shape the plans. I'm sure you will agree that our communities are instrumental in helping complete the jigsaw to ensure that we are targeting our investment where it is needed most. As stated, the place shaping framework will form an important element of our council's COVID recovery plan, but it will always bring added socio-economic benefits in terms of local job creation and supporting the local economy and supply chains, etc. In terms of next steps, you will be aware that the full shaping plan will be considered at a meeting of Cabinet this week, and we will also be considering the views of this meeting. So in summary, this is a huge package of investment which is going to transform our county borough. We are all very excited about the proposals, and I would encourage you all to get on board to help us shape the future of our communities. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Leader, for that. Can I now call in the Chief Executive, Christina Harry, please?
Thank you, Chair, and good evening, members. Along with the Leader, I'm really excited to be presenting to you this evening the Council's first wellbeing place shaping framework. Before I take you through the main elements of the report, I firstly wanted to explain the strategic context of the report so members fully understand where this framework sits. Members are aware of the Council's Team Caerphilly Transformation Programme. This programme has two main outcomes. Firstly, it's about transforming our county borough, and secondly, it's about transforming how our council works for our communities. It's the first strand where the wellbeing place shaping framework fits. The second strand, transforming how the council works, the detail of this work will be shared with members on the 19th of April at the scheduled members seminar. So what is place shaping? We all know that our people crave a distinctive place to live. Place shaping is about serving the needs of our diverse communities from a spatial perspective and improving the socio-economic performance of our county borough as a whole. Essentially, it's about making our communities and our county borough the best place and the best places they can be. The council has a key role to play. It has to take the lead to think and act creatively and strategically spearhead physical, social and economic development, whilst shaping it with our communities and partners. The role of our communities is absolutely pivotal, and you as community leaders are also pivotal to its success. The Place Shaping Framework brings together, for the first time, our capital investment programme in an integrated and holistic way. Looking through this wider lens enables us to maximise the collective benefits and impacts from the investment programme as a whole. Collectively, it provides the opportunity to build, repair and renew key infrastructure and assets across the length and breadth of the county borough, whilst furthering the aims and objectives set out in our various strategies, including the Council's corporate plan, our 21st Century Schools programme, our housing strategy, our regeneration strategy, our leisure strategy, and the Cardiff Capital Region, just as a few examples. This framework is of paramount importance and significance at this specific time as we begin to emerge slowly from the COVID pandemic. This framework offers a route map for our communities to emerge much stronger and resilient post-COVID. So let's explore the report in a little more detail. As the leader outlined earlier, the report essentially falls into three parts. The first section outlines the investment which has already been made between 2017 and 2020, totalling approximately £153 million. In terms of the wider impact that this investment has made, GVA has improved, educational attainment has improved, the life expectancy gap has decreased between those in the north and the south of the county borough, although we fully accept there is still much more work for us to do. The second section sets out the current place shaping investments that have already been approved, totalling approximately £129 million, and these projects are currently being delivered. The third chapter sets out the proposed investment between 2021 and beyond, totalling in excess of £231 million. This investment programme provides a sustainable route map for our communities to emerge stronger than ever post-COVID. And these projects are detailed in 5.8 of the report, and the Cabinet will provide further detail later in the meeting, as the Chair has previously outlined. All of these investments, which span so many areas, including health, education, environment and housing, bring far wider socio-economic benefits. They bring, for example, job creation, additional spend to the local supply chain and business community, and they bring new apprenticeships. So the total investment of nearly £500 million must be considered only as a baseline figure, as in reality, we know it will offer so much more. I'd like now to turn to paragraph 5.8 of the report, which sets out the investment programme for 2021 and beyond, and highlight a few key important points to you. The first is that these projects are currently only proposals at present. The development of each project will be detailed through individual business cases, which will be subject to relevant consultation and engagement. The role of this overarching joint scrutiny committee will have a key role in overseeing general progress of the programme twice yearly. Individual scrutiny committees will also have a key role to play as these business cases are progressed. Each capital project will be subject to separate decision by Cabinet or Council. Each business case will set out clearly the financial model, the outcomes to be achieved, as well as the risks. And the funding model for each project will include a mix of council funding, Welsh Government funding, UK Government funding, private sector funding, and grant funding, which will be unique to each project. The framework as a whole will form part of an ongoing engagement programme with our communities, and it will provide stakeholders the opportunity to add in any further projects, as well as refine or remove projects that already exist. The Community Empowerment Fund which is a revenue-based fund of £328,000, which is included in the package of projects, aims to encourage local members working with their communities to develop and take ownership of projects of local importance. The details of how this fund will operate are currently being developed, but it will offer a route to allow members to develop any new project ideas for consideration within the framework. The proposals presented must be shaped by our communities. We want to empower our residents to have a greater influence over the issues that affect them, as well as helping us to further understand the needs of our communities, which in turn will allow us to ensure the services we provide meet those needs. The Place Shaping Engagement Programme is detailed within the report, and you will see that you as elected members and community leaders are central to the whole process, as you provide the critical linkages between the council and the communities we serve. Lots of community engagement is proposed and planned at individual council ward level, and this will be in addition to the formal consultation processes we already have in place. Finally, turning to resources, this is an ambitious programme of investment. Already allocated is £24.5 million from usable reserves and a further £4 million from savings in advance. So a total of nearly just under £30 million, which will be used to lever in further investment to fund these projects. Members will also recall that a growth bid for additional staff resources to support this programme has been included in the 2021-22 draft budget, which will be considered by full council later this week on Wednesday evening. Without this additional staff resource, this framework cannot be delivered at the pace and scale articulated clearly to me by the Cabinet. In conclusion, we have made significant investment into our communities over recent years. And as we emerge from the COVID pandemic, we have set out clearly our investment priorities for 2021 and beyond. These together total in the region of £500 million, but as I said earlier, this will lever in so much more. It's exciting, it's ambitious, it's scary, but this investment is going to transform our communities, providing them with hope, and strength and purpose as we emerge together from the COVID pandemic and build a united and proud county borough. Thank you, Chair.
Well, thank you, Christina, for that presentation. And can I thank you for touching also on the reserves issue, of which nearly 30 million is earmarked. We often get questions about the level of reserves, and I would argue that these level of reserves are probably needed to enable these programmes to come off. Councillor Williams, did you want to come in first? No. Councillor Williams, you're on mute.
Me now?
I can hear you now.
Well, I've got a couple of questions I'd like to ask.
Can I just hold you, Councillor Williams? What I'm going to do is I'm going to set the agenda for what the meeting is about, and you can come in at the right time. So how I'm going to do this, members, is that you'll notice all the Cabinet are present. Now, within their portfolios, they're able to go into a bit more detail. So what I'm going to do is, if I take you to agenda item 5.8, you'll see in there the objectives. Now, can I call on Councillor Ross Whiting to firstly lead on the first objective, and then after each Cabinet member has spoken, there'll be opportunities to discuss each of the objectives. So, Councillor Whiting, can I bring you in, please?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I'll go through 5.6 and 5.7 as well, but my focus will be on 5.8, as it's all about the future, which is the exciting thing here, I think. And that will be on Wellbeing Objective 1, which is to improve education opportunities for all. So under Table 1, there are some example investments there totaling over £16 million that have been made since 2017. This involves some really significant investment in some of our schools, most notably Idris Davis, Newbridge, Blackwood, Ysgol-y-Castell and Trinity Fields. And it's also important to recognise the significant investment in facilities outside of what you traditionally think of as a school building, such as the 3G pitch in Blackwood. So under 5.7 then, to now, and the proposals that have had approval. These total just under £28 million and involve some further school expansion, extension, improvement works in Welsh medium provision, as well as Ysgol Penalta, Ystrad Primary and Glananant. And there's also been significant CCBC and Welsh Government school capital maintenance grant work approvals. There've also been approvals for 3G pitches at Lewis Pengham, Ysgol Gymraeg and Romney and St Gennydd, as well as the Oakdale running track, which is in place and will soon receive its final surface completion. And a really important one in this one is the EdTech Hub programme to upgrade and enhance education technology and equipment in schools. And this has been extremely timely and used to great effect and extent during the COVID-19 pandemic. Because it's, the IT facilities and the portable devices have been used to facilitate distance and blended learning, which has been so important over the past few months. Looking forward to 5.8 then, this is essentially the initial wellbeing and place making investment framework for wellbeing Object 1. These will be developed into full business cases, and this is kind of a route map and an aspiration to what we want to do as regards to wellbeing Objective 1. So these haven't received approval yet, and many of them will be making their way through from 2021 onwards. And altogether, these projects account for up to nearly £113 million of investment, which is clearly a huge amount. Some are more advanced than others, and others are more proposals, but they are to meet identified local needs and will be further to subject to extensive further development and discussion. A few of these are part of our huge and exciting set of 21st Century Schools Band B proposals, which themselves were set out and agreed by a cross-party task and finish group within the Education Scrutiny Committee. These include the first phase expansion of Trinity Fields for some of our most vulnerable learners, and the community facilities that will be attached to that, as well as the Ysgol Gymraeg and Gwyddon proposal, which will improve the condition of that school. And these two are due to be considered at the Education Scrutiny Committee on the 22nd of March, which is the place where these can really, be discussed further. And in the next phase of the 21st Century Schools proposal, this will include a new school for Blasevelin, the new Lancaet Lanfabon, and the Centre for Vulnerable Learners in Pont Lanfraith. And these proposals at outline stage will also be considered by the Education Scrutiny Committee on the 22nd of March. So again, another opportunity to discuss those there. There are also plans for a major £35 million investment in the Upper Romney Valley, which is still at an aspirational stage at the moment, and could include a mixed-use arrangement, including education and leisure facilities, as well as housing and employment. And there are also £20 million in funds set aside for secondary school investment, which I understand are yet to be finalised. And further investments are proposed for a range of schools at all different corners of the county borough, as detailed in the table, which includes a new school build at Gilvacker Park Primary, a new Welsh medium provision, a new Upper Romney Primary School, the expansion of St James Primary, and several other projects, including an educational facility at Virginia Park, which would be a potential base for the youth service and have further community use facilities there as well. And there's also a further 3G pitch planned up in the Upper Romney Valley at Idris Davis, which will again enhance that physical education capability there and elsewhere in the county borough as well. So all of these ideas and proposals, which form the framework as it currently stands, will be subject to the full consultation, scrutiny, funding allocation and decision-making processes and engagement mechanisms as contained in 5.9, or in their individual projects, they may have other consultation mechanisms that they have to go through. And I think the main thing I would say is altogether, these are really, really significant proposals which touch every corner of the county borough and provide a massive boost towards our aims under Wellbeing Objective 1, which are to improve the educational opportunities for all.
Well, thank you, Councillor Wyden, and thank you for also pointing out the fact that obviously members of the Education for Life Scrutiny Committee will be more than aware of a number of these proposals. We'll have ample opportunity as well to comment on them. Just before we we go to questions, I just want to try and re-emphasize that this is very much, you know, about the overall vision, and it's not a meeting of the planning committee. So if we can remember not to ask the minute details of which nothing is available yet, I'd be appreciative. Councillor Tom Williams, then I'll call in Councillor Andy Wickham.
Okay, thank you, James. I got the 4 questions I'd like to ask, and the number one, it's on page 20 of the report, and it's all about the Upper Romney Valley, and it says 35 million for potential development that takes leisure provision. So I can ask the question, where is this investment planned for, and what leisure provisions does it include? And that, if you want me to ask the other questions as well, I will, but I'd rather you answer the one question at a time.
Right, well, what I'll do, Councillor Williams, if you've got 4 questions, what if I can ask you, maybe if you just ask the one question, then I'll come back to you to let others have a go as well. But the one question about the Upper Romney Valley, would Councillor Whiting, or I see we got members from education available. If anybody would like to indicate to answer Councillor Williams's question, unless I'll go straight to the cabinet member. Councillor Whiting, would you like to respond?
Yeah, I think the point I would make on that one is that this is very early on in the process for this, and there will be opportunities to go through in detail when these proposals are developed into full business cases. So I would say at this point it's too early to say the exact nature of what exactly is going to be there. But I know that Ed has just indicated, so I don't know whether he has some further detail to add on that one.
Yeah, I'll go to Ed. Ed, can I bring you in, please?
Yeah, thanks, Chair. Thanks for the question, Councillor Williams. It's impossible for us to say at this stage because we still got a number of sites that we're working through. So each of those sites comes with different topography around it, different opportunities for us. And you'll appreciate that there's currently a board sitting to look at sixth form, post-16 and surplus places across Caerphilly. And until such time as that board is ready to make some recommendations to Cabinet, we can't give any more detail. But as Councillor Whiting has indicated, lots of opportunity for you as members to come in as those proposals develop. Thanks, Chair.
Okay, thank you, Ed. Can I move on to Councillor Wickham, please?
What about my next question, James?
If Councillor Williams, if you want to come in a little bit later, bear in mind what I've asked is for members to be asking questions on the specific objectives, of which your first one definitely was. But if there are other questions that other cabinet members or officers can answer, I'd ask you to hold them back. This is just about education at the moment, Councillor Williams. So I'll move to Councillor Wickham, and then I'll come back to you later on. Councillor Wickham.
Thank you, Chair. On page 21 of the report, it indicates the provision of a centre for vulnerable learners, a most welcome initiative at the old Pontefraith Grammar School site. Just a general outline, is this going to be a new build, or are we going to make adaptations to existing structures?
Ed, can I bring you in, please?
You can indeed, Chair. I should have stayed on. Thanks for the question, Councillor Wickham. Yeah, it's intended that it's going to be adaptation of an existing structure at this stage. Obviously, there will be additional facilities developed on and around, but there's a very, very good building in place at this stage, so we would anticipate reusing that at this stage.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, Councillor Diane Price, please.
Thank you, Chair. It's ferocities, just an observation. But I'd like to thank you that we haven't been put on the back burner, Park Primary and Gilford Bargood. Can you hear me? I sound very hoarse to myself because I got earphones on. Okay, it's just to say thank you very much that you haven't forgot us. So my head will be really over the moon. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Price. Councillor Graham Simmons, please. And can I say to Councillor Simmons, you're very welcome back.
Thank you for that. It was touch and go for a while. Yeah, at the start of his presentation, Ross indicated that 6 to 7 £60 million has been spent on education provision since 2017. Surely the investment in education didn't start there, or is it just to run it concurrent with the different administrations?
I mean, Ross, Councillor Whiting, I mean, that was the start of the administration, so I imagine, you know, this is the reason why it started from that date. You know, we could go on to the 90s and the 80s, you know, if we wanted, but I imagine it's from there. Christina, would you like to come in?
Yes, thank you, Chair. Yes, absolutely, that is the case. We've framed this investment framework along the lines of the current administration timeline. So absolutely agree, Councillor Simmons, that the investment did take place prior to 2017, but we've had to draw a line in the sand somewhere. And personally, yeah, just to welcome you back as well, Councillor Simmons.
Yeah, excellent.
Come on!
I don't know what that was. Who was that in the background? But can I bring Councillor Etheridge in, please?
Yeah, I apologise, James. Mine is a general query. It's not about education, so I think I'd best keep it till later.
Yeah, probably that's the best thing, Councillor Etheridge. Councillor Sean Morgan.
My computer locked up then. I didn't hear a word of the reply.
Oh, sorry, Chair, my hand shouldn't have been up.
Yeah. Okay, Councillor Simmons, his computer failed on him. So, Christina, can I bring you back in to just re-emphasise what you just said, if that's okay?
Yes, of course, Chair. Hopefully, Councillor Simmons, you can hear me now. Yes, we had to draw a line in the sand somewhere, and we've aligned the investment framework and the figures contained within it to the administration timeline. So we've started this programme from 2017, but clearly investment did take place in education prior to that. Thank you.
Well, it's gone again.
Okay, Councillor, if you've got, can I ask committee services if they can contact Councillor Simmons if he's having problems? Would that be okay? Because we want everybody to take part in the meeting.
It's just a question for the Chief Executive. In her presentation, she said that GVA in Caerphilly County Borough has gone up in recently.
Christina, would you like to come back?
Yes, yes, I did actually say that. That is one of the improvements we have seen over the recent years. Just to give you some figures, and I don't intend to enter into a debate around figures because clearly we've been here before, but our GVA figures per job is £50,119 compared to a Wales figure of 46,132. But certainly what I did say is whilst improvements have been seen over GVA and elsewhere, clearly we accept there's far more work to be done in these places. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Christina. Councillor Mann, please.
Thanks, Chair. It's for possibly the Cabinet member, I think. On the education programme, is this actually following all of the 21st Century Schools programme, or have there been amendments to that programme since it was agreed?
Councillor Whiting, would you like to come in?
Yeah, you know, as time has gone on since the list of proposals were agreed by the Task and Finish group of the Education Scrutiny Committee, there have been changes to the needs of the local area and the priorities that have come forward on this. So although the list of proposals is there as it is, the priorities may change through. I think I noticed that Sue Richards has put her hand up, so she may have some further information on this.
Yeah. Sue, can I bring you in, please?
Thanks, Councillor Whiting and Chair. Yeah, at the moment, the proposals are very much in line with the original ones, which I think you were on the group, Councillor Mann. Any changes to that, and I think there was additional funding for Trinity Fields, have gone through the scrutiny and cabinet process for agreement. Thank you.
Okay, is that okay, Councillor Mann?
Yeah, thanks, Bud. I was on a group a few years ago, so I'm not sure if I was on the last one, but never mind.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Andrew Farina Childs, please.
It's a query, I think it is, for the Cabinet member. On 5.9, ongoing place shape and engagement programme. On page 26 under the subheading "A Place for Engagement." The last point, it says there will be a cyclical programme for councillors and officers-led community engagement for individual council wards. Is this going to be like a ad hoc meetings, or is it going to be structured where we're going to have like monthly or quarterly meetings to discuss issues in the ward? So under this, please.
Okay.
As it relates to education, I wouldn't have 100% knowledge of that one, but this might be a general point as to the whole place shaping plan. So I don't know whether this would be something for perhaps Christina or Ed to answer.
Yeah, Ed has indicated, so if I bring Ed in, please.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. And again, great question. The intention behind the Caerphilly Place for Everyone is to find a way of engaging our communities and make sure that we capture those needs. I think what we would prefer to stay away from is applying a blanket approach that instructs or suggests to you as members that you meet everybody on a 4-weekly or a 2-monthly basis. It's going to differ depending on wards. It's going to differ depending on channels. Some of you may wish to engage more readily on social media. Some may wish to do things when time returns to normal on a more face-to-face basis. So what this is a list of activities to be shaped by you in consultation with us that suit your local circumstances. Thanks, Chair.
Okay.
Thank you. Again.
Okay. Councillor Cuss, please.
Thanks, Chair. Can I just first of all welcome the investment in the Upper Romney Valley mentioned in the report. I know in previous years the council has invested in education in the Upper Romney Valley, particularly the Idris Davis School development. So I do welcome that, because there are obviously some schools that haven't received financial support in the past. I'm particularly interested in the 3G pitch at Idris Davis School. Is something that I've been calling for many years, and I'm sure officers can vouch for that by me banging their ears all the time. But what I'd like to ask is, will this provision be for community use, and will you be allowed to play games and obviously training on there for community clubs, because this is something that local clubs have been calling for many years? Thank you.
Okay, Ed and Sue.
Actually, Chair, I've spoken so much tonight, I'm going to give Sue a chance. I know she'll have a little bit more detail on this, so I'll hand over to Sue, if that's okay.
Okay, Sue.
Thank you, Ed and Chair. Yeah, Councillor Cass, the facility will be open for community use. All of our proposals involving 21st century schools and grant funding are not just for education use, they're for the wider community as well. So the answer is a categoric yes.
Okay, thank you. Ed, you want to come in again?
No, Chair, I left my hand up, apologise.
Okay, there we are then. Okay then, thanks for that. Councillor Williams, you indicated you've got a few more questions. Can I please ask you if you have got questions to relate specifically to education for now, until we move on to the next cabinet member?
No, this is it's all about other things, about leisure and all that. Well, it's all part of the report that we've had, and this is where you want to ask the questions.
You can ask the question at the appropriate time after the relevant person. If it's education, feel free to ask the question. But if it's something like highways or anything like that, that will come after in the next wellbeing objectives. So if there's anything education for now, please feel free to ask.
Well, it's not with education at the moment. It's all to do about leisure and other things.
If there's other things, can I ask you to come in after the next cabinet member has spoke, or whatever it comes up in the meeting? Can I bring in Councillor Fussell, please?
Thank you, Councillor Bridget. I just wanted to, it's the expansion of Welsh medium education, really. And I fully appreciate it. There's been some significant works carried out at Ysgol Gymraeg Castell. But Sue might be able to add on to this one. I'm a chair of governors on the second school within the primary sector in the basin of Caerphilly, and they're quite happy to want to spend what reserved monies they have on developing additional classroom facility, but are thwarted with assistance from the authority, from the point of view that there's a certain amount of outer catchment area children. But if we're trying to expand Welsh medium education in the main, then when you've got the opportunity of, say, 50-50 funding from the school, which is generally not something that can be achieved because the way budgets work out, then perhaps the county borough could benefit by adding even more provision overall. And I don't know if that's a comment that I could have an answer on.
Well, can I try and help and call in Sue Richards then, please?
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Councillor Fussell. I'm more than happy. I could go into a lot of detail of this, but I'm aware it's not exactly in line with the meeting tonight. But I'm more than happy to meet with yourself and the head teacher of the school to discuss our reasons regarding that decision, and hopefully between us agree a way forward. So more than happy to meet with you outside this meeting.
Yeah, okay. I'm happy for that. It's just the way you couch the reply there, Sue. I can see there's not much progress likely to be made, perhaps.
Well,
can we ask to take this outside of the meeting next week? We need to stick to the agenda. Thanks, Sue. Okay, now we move on to the next part of the meeting, and this now we'll consider wellbeing objective 2. That's enabling employment. And can I ask Councillor Sean Morgan to come in, please?
Okay, thank you, Chair. Yeah, just to outline what we've got here at 5.8 under the enabling employment. Going forward, I'm not going to go back over what we've done so far. I might mention them, but we have proposed investments for the expansion of employment at Oakdale. Many of you will be aware of the massive success that the Oakdale area has been in enabling employment. So we're working with Welsh Government with that. There's the anaerobic digester renewable energy scheme, which we are exploring the opportunities to make a direct wire connection between Tredomant and the anaerobic digester plant to receive electricity. This has got so many benefits. It does help with employment. It's also a circular economy when it comes to our carbon footprint, and dealing with our own waste and turning our own waste into electricity is really quite something. We're seeking to pilot the expand the existing country park tea rooms offer. Because there's, as you know, through the COVID pandemic, the use of our country parks has gone up exponentially, really. And the idea that we could have a cup of tea in every park is such a good one, and it does coax people out there. And then furthermore, industrial and employment proposals. We want to develop proposals enhancing offers at sites across the borough, such as Capital Valley up in at the top of the Romney Valley there. But as you know from previous the work that we've done, such as at TD and the Lawns Industrial Estate, we have got a very successful small business properties portfolio, and the idea of advancing that is a good one. So that's all for me. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Morgan. Can I call Councillor Sargent, please?
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Sean. A question, please, on the report. It's 5.8, page 19. No, it's not. It's 5.8, page 18, but it's also on page 24. And they both refer to Park Lane in Caerphilly Town.
Yeah. Can I ask you, Councillor Sargent, can we please go through the meeting in terms of what the Cabinet member has said under each wellbeing objective? So the Cabinet member has just spoken now about well, three or four things. Well, four things. So if you just hold your question, Councillor Sargent, for when Park Lane does come up, then the relevant Cabinet member at that point can make the can answer the questions. Or I'll bring you in definitely, but just ask you to.
Just a second, Jamie. Who is the Cabinet member for this then, please?
Could I go on, Councillor Morgan?
Could I just come in on that? Thanks, Chair. You're quite right, Margaret. As regeneration is also in my portfolio, those things are coming up later in the agenda. They may be taken by another cabinet member, and I will come in on them. But
that's fine. But thank you very much, Sean.
Because it does.
And indicate, Councillor Sargent, and I'll definitely bring you in. Okay,
thank you.
Councillor Tom Williams.
Well, thank you, James. My second question, and it's all to do, it's on page 23, and it's all to do with the Caerphilly Basin, where it says 36 million identified.
Can I stop you, Councillor Williams? What we're doing, we're going through the objectives one by one. So when the cabinet member has spoken on the objectives, that wasn't contained within this objective. I'd ask you, as I've just asked Councillor Sargent, to just hold fire until that bit comes up, and then I will bring any member who indicates in. I'm not here to stop members from speaking. It's just a case of waiting to the right time. So I'm going through them one by one. So if you just hold the question for the relevant time. Can I bring in Councillor Mann, please?
Okay, thanks, Chair. It's a question for Sean, please. It's about the enabling employment and the small units. I recognise that there are now plans for building small units, Sean, but it has taken a long time. And do you envisage any more being built? They have, for example, on Dyffryn Estate, not far from where I am at the moment, a couple of private developments have in fact proved to be very successful. Yet people have argued in the past that it's not worth us doing this. So if you can put a bit more flesh on that, it'd be appreciated. Thanks.
Yeah. Thanks, Councillor Mann. Yeah, I mean, we're always looking for the opportunities where we can develop out land and create these opportunities. But there are always so many issues related to land ownership, cost of land, building. At the moment, we are building some at TD, but this is in partnership with Welsh Government. It does often depend on outside funding and or third parties being involved. So yeah, but we are out there looking for to expand our very successful units. Yeah.
Could I just come back a moment, Chair? I appreciate the value of spending other people's money rather than our own money, if that's possible. But I would have thought that an investment, even if it was mainly funded by the authority, would still pay its way. I don't know if that has been looked at. This is a huge programme, and I would have thought, expanding employment would have been a primary consideration in that.
There are so many primary considerations in this plan because there are so many aspects to a county borough. But what I would say is that we constantly and always will seek to get the best bang for our buck, and therefore co-investment and working with third parties usually brings a better result. Thank you, Councillor Mann.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Mann. Councillor Morgan. Councillor Anne Gay, please.
Chair, I just wanted to ask Councillor Morgan, what are the additional employment benefits associated with the energy project with the anaerobic digester?
I'm talking about the employment. It's just if we got a constant throughput of food waste and what have you through the anaerobic digester and are making most use of it, then that needs people there to work it and run it.
But that's happening now, isn't it? So is there anything additional?
I don't know is the answer. Whether there will be a massive increase in the amount of people working at there, but I imagine that it does make sure that the employment remains at the site. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Councillor Morgan. Thank you, Councillor Gay. Councillor Graham Simmons, please.
Oh, thank you. It's a very simple question, hopefully. What economic development strategy are we currently working to? The last one I could find was the 5 counties. So I'll throw myself open on that one. Thank you.
Is there maybe an officer would like to come in to answer that question or not? Anybody available? Christina?
Yes, if I can offer a response. Members will be aware that we've recently developed a number of regeneration master plans that cover both economic and physical regeneration opportunities. We've also got the economic strategy that is embedded in the Cardiff Capital Region. And having done the recent master plans, our next development of a strategy is going to be a renewed economic strategy, given the new context we find ourselves in both of the Cardiff Capital Region and our regeneration master plans. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Christina. Councillor Brenda Miles, please.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to make a comment in relation to the proposal for renewable energy scheme relating to Bryn. Just to reiterate comments that I've made before in relation to this, the operations of the Bryn Group cause many concerns for the neighbouring communities of Gelligay and Nelson, and I think residents will be concerned to see that the council is proposing to do more business in a new sort of way with the Bryn Group, when I don't feel this company is in particularly good standing with the communities neighbouring the operations there. And my view remains and will remain, unless we can solve the problems fully, that this council should think very carefully about whether we do business with an organisation which generates so many complaints and problems for our residents living nearby to the scheme.
Okay.
So
Thank you,
just to say that would be my reservation on that particular scheme.
Okay, Councillor Miles, if we note your reservations on that, thank you for your point. Councillor Simmons, would you like to come back?
Yes, the Chief Executive's answer, while no doubt is truthful, but the fact that we have local master plans actually dices the county borough into blocks, cubes, whatever. Don't we have our own overarching strategy?
Yeah. Christina, would you like to come back?
If it's the Cardiff City region deal, then
just before I bring Christina in, just want to remind members. Obviously, there's points of view, and Councillor Simmons' his view is valid to him. But please, can we concentrate on the report instead of maybe deviating away? It's an extensive report after all. Christina.
Yeah, the simple answer is yes, Chair. We have a regeneration strategy, and that is referenced in the report as well. Thank you.
Okay. Councillor Williams. Councillor Williams, you're on mute. Can you unmute, please? You're still on mute, Councillor Williams. You need to unmute.
Right.
Okay.
You can hear me now.
I can hear you.
Right. Can I say that when I mentioned the question about the Caerphilly Basin, because it's in the report, it says 36 million.
I know, Councillor Williams. Can I please ask you? Can we please stick to the agenda? You'll get your opportunity. I think that's under Wellbeing Objective 5. I'm trying to streamline this meeting as best as I possibly can. If you ask your question about Caerphilly Basin under item 5, then I'll definitely bring you.
Well,
in.
It's a question. I'm sure.
I'll bring you in at the relevant time, Councillor Williams, with a relevant cabinet member and the relevant moment. Okay, can we move on now to the next part of the agenda, please? And that's Wellbeing Objective 3, address and supply the condition and sustainability of homes. Councillor Lisa Phipps, can I bring you in, please? There will be questions after every cabinet member, just to re-emphasise that point.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, members, I've been asked to talk to you this evening about Wellbeing Objective 3 contained within this report. As you will see from the report, there's been significant investment in this area since 2017. The most significant and highest spend for the Housing Department since 2017 has been the investment made into our housing stock through the WHQS. This is the Council's largest ever single investment. A total investment of approximately £260 million will be made into tenants' homes and communities throughout the Caerphilly Borough. I am pleased to confirm that we are now in the final stages of the scheme, which was unfortunately delayed due to the COVID pandemic. At the outset of the WHQS programme, the aim was to transform homes, lives and communities, and considerable work is underway to deliver the environmental improvement element of the WHQS, with over £10 million of works already identified in communities throughout the County Borough. As well as huge investments into our council housing stock, the council has already begun to increase the supply of affordable homes within the borough, including the purchase of existing homes utilising Welsh Government's Affordable Housing Grant and newly developed homes through the use of Section 106 agreements. Working with RSLs, significant investments are being made to provide homes at Charters Gardens, Mill Street in Risca and Pentre Bain Street in Caerphilly, to name but a few. Charters Gardens is an exciting collaboration between the council and Pobl, which will provide up to 125 homes. Of these, approximately 83 will be affordable. As well as working with RSLs to provide affordable homes, Caerphilly Council has made a commitment to help meet the local needs for affordable homes by building new homes in the borough. The programme, branded Building Together, aims to deliver 400 affordable homes between 2020 and 2025 and offers a number of exciting opportunities to build new council homes for the first time since 2000. The council have identified various sites in the council's ownership that may be suitable for residential development, and plans are in place for land in Tre Thomas and Trecennydd. Welsh Government funding has been secured to part fund the building of 18 new homes on these sites. These homes will be extremely innovative in the way they will be commissioned, constructed, and their energy efficiency levels. The council are also in the process of undertaking a feasibility study to access the development potential on the site of Oakdale Comprehensive School. There's a potential for 100 units for the scheme, which will include market sales. Following completion of the £260 million physical improvement programme to our housing stock, we will continue to maintain and invest in our existing stock to provide high quality, energy efficient, affordable homes for life. And this will be enhanced with an exciting and innovative new build programme. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Phipps, for detailing all aspects housing. Are there any questions for Councillor Phipps? No. In that case, then, thank you, Councillor Phipps. Oh, Councillor Mann and then Councillor Priest, please. You nearly got away with it, Lisa. Councillor Mann, please.
I thought she'd want to walk on part with a couple of questions, Chair. But could I say I welcome the new build, especially the sustainability aspect of that with the energy saving. But could I come back to the fact that because of the WHQS and other improvements, the people in the worst housing are people in private rentals. Now I know there has been an initiative to bring empty houses back into use, and hopefully there is money in for that. Is there anything to maybe encourage, or even encourage in various ways, including financial, landlords who should be providing better accommodation than they are at the moment?
Okay, thank you, Councillor Mann. Important question. Councillor Phipps.
Thank you, Councillor Mann. With regards to your query about the empty homes, as you know, the empty homes team has been established. That was agreed at our meeting on the 9th of September, and hopefully all officers of that team will be in place in April. So hopefully going forward, those empty properties, any issues being experienced by residents or members can be addressed.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Phipps. Okay, Councillor Denver, please.
Could I
Thank you, Chair.
Wait a minute, Councillor Priest.
Yeah,
Councillor Mann, I'll let you have a second bite of the cherry.
Anything on the private rentals, Lisa?
When you say private, you mean the condition that members of the public are living in private rentals?
Yeah, I know powers are limited, but there are powers that we can use, and
Yeah.
I was wondering whether there was funding to actually help with that as well.
I would suggest, Councillor Mann, that if any tenants are having issues with any of their private rentals, that they are raised either through our private rental team or via Rent Smart Wales.
Yeah. Okay, thank you, Councillor Phipps. Can I bring in Councillor Priest, please?
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, well, I'd like to start off, first of all, Councillor Phipps, thanks for that report and your answers, because and I am glad that X amount of years ago that we decided to retain our council stock, because if we hadn't, God knows what state it'd been in now. But anyway, going off that, as for private housing, I think it's such a big subject, really, because it's you've got to be careful when you start talking about doing things with private landlords. But we have got a thing called, enforcement orders, and these can be done. And as Councillor Phelps have already said, these do cost money. So I'm more than happy at this moment in time, just picking up on the housing stock and availability of housing, affordable housing, and so on for the people that really need it. So I thank you once again for that very in-depth report. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Priest. Can I bring in Councillor Roy Cerrales, please?
If I can, I can unmute. Thank you. Thank you, Chair. Mine's just a comment, and a welcome comment in actual fact. I'm just delighted to see that we're looking at not only building houses on the Oakdale school site, but also using part of that site as a community development as well, in terms of provision of an allotment. So much of the land in Oakdale, Green Wedge and areas outside settlement have been snatched up by private developers. But in this case, I think that the proposal for this site, which includes open space in terms of an allotment area, is a tremendous initiative. And I thank you for fetching that forward.
Thank you, Councillor Cerrales. Before I bring in Councillor Whittle, can I just ask the Cabinet member just to reaffirm what the total number of houses, I would call them, are planned to be built, new build council houses over the next 5 or 6 years? I think you mentioned 400 as a figure. Was that correct?
Yeah. So the potential is for 400 new affordable homes within the borough by 2025.
Thank you, Councillor Phipps. Councillor Whittle, you did indicate, but your hand is down. Would you like to come in, or should I move?
Yeah, sorry, I just took it down ready because I often forget to take it down at the end of my question. Thank Councillor Phipps for that part of her report. I'm really concerned about these magic words, affordable housing. Members will be aware that in Caerphilly at Henry our friends Redrow are building homes which are currently for sale from between £270,000 and £340,000. These are not affordable homes, in my opinion, and I think they'll be catering for places from outside of Caerphilly. On that site, though, Chair, my question is: I understand that 60 of these 60 homes are to be provided by a social landlord. I've yet to find out who that social landlord is. I'm assuming that those people will be allocated those 60 units via our common housing waiting list register.
Okay, Councillor Whittle, I'm not sure whether we can get the answer for that in this particular meeting, but if any officer is is available.
If they could write to me, Chair, I'd be more than happy. That's all.
That's probably the best case. Thank you, Councillor Whittle, for your question. I've got Councillor Simmons and then Councillor Mann again. Well, I'll give another question to Councillor Simmons. You're on mute, Councillor Simmons. Councillor Simmons, you're still on mute. You need to unmute.
Sorry, James. Yeah, the Welsh Assembly have a policy now towards sustainability and limiting greenhouse gases that either electricity or hydrogen-powered boilers will be installed in the not too distant future. Are we future-proofing our homes against that? Thank you.
So your question relates to the reporting about new build housing. I'm not sure whether we got that information. If there's an officer available, Dave Street, and then Councillor Phipps.
Right, thank you, Chair. Yeah, we're aware of those requirements, and certainly as we move forward post WHQS, this whole energy efficiency agenda is very much top of the tree as far as we're concerned. So as we continue with our ongoing maintenance of those properties, any boilers will meet those standards.
Thank you, Dave. Councillor Phipps, would you like to come in to supplement what Dave has said, or bring up something different, or same but similar?
Thank you. I was going to bring up something different, and that was just to confirm that the 16 new units at Trekennydd and Tretormas will all be passive house properties.
Okay. Councillor Mann.
Thanks, Chair. Again, welcome that last statement. But my question is, how much would somebody have to pay for an affordable home? Councillor Whittle referred to the cost of studying an estate, and obviously affordable needs to be affordable for the sort of money that people are earning in this area or able to earn. That is the issue, really, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm aware there's different definitions from Welsh Government and maybe Shelter Cymru as well. Yeah, if anybody's able to,
that's the problem, Chair.
I appreciate your comments, Councillor Mann. That is certainly an issue. I'm not sure if any officer could come in on this. It's one of those issues where you don't get 100% agreement what affordable is. But certainly new build council properties, I think will certainly be affordable. And I think that we should be welcoming them, as I think everybody has done now. Okay, then, Councillor Phipps, thank you for your contribution. We'll now move on to the next cabinet member. So that's Wellbeing Objective 4, and that's promote a modern, integrated and sustainable transport system. Can I call in Councillor John Ridgewell and Councillor Sean Morgan if he needs to come in as well? But Councillor Ridgewell, initially, please.
Yes, thank you, Chair. I'm going to have to keep my camera off. I'm not even sure if my signal is going to get us through this, so I apologise. I do apologise for that. Yes, as you touched on, Wellbeing Objective 4. And as we know, it's to promote a modern and integrated and sustainable transport system that increases opportunity, promotes prosperity and minimises the adverse impact on the environment. Well, that's clearly one of our key aims. And as I think you'll all be aware, we're working on and have already delivered ambitious improvements to rail, bus and road networks in conjunction with our partners in the Regional Transport Authority. Perhaps on a granular level, you'll get more of a flavour of what's taking place by, for example, our electric vehicle strategy and how we're supporting taxi companies as they move from fossil-fuelled vehicles to electric cars. I mean, this includes providing charging points at taxi stations across the borough. We're working with Sustrans as part of the Welsh Government's Active Travel Network map, that's the ATNM. So this is through consultation to upgrade and create new walking and cycling routes, making journeys on foot or by bike or for people who use mobility aids easier and safer and of course more attractive. What the plan is that these routes will encourage more people to use active travel for local journeys, so reducing traffic, improving air quality and certainly improving people's general health. But developing these is also important as part of a suite of measures already in place and planned so we can reach our target of ultimately becoming a carbon neutral local authority by 2030. So that encapsulates it really, Chair. I'm ready to take questions, so thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Ridgewell. if Councillor Morgan wants to come in at any point, because he has some responsibility as well within this objective. We'll go to questions though. Councillor Mike Davis, please.
Thank you, Chair. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, all okay.
Okay, thank you. I don't see the Crumlin navigation site listed anywhere. The council have invested in the past in looking at this site as a whole, but in the past couple of years also including a transport hub. I'm not sure if it should be in this report or somewhere else. If somebody could let me know that, please.
Is Councillor Ridgewell able to update the meeting, or Councillor Morgan? Or if not, I'm sure Councillor Davis would be content with something outside of this meeting. But is there any, Councillor Morgan?
Yeah, if I could just come in on that. Obviously, we've looked at the navigation site, which has huge potential, but also comes with huge costs to remediate the site while keeping it in within the historical context. So I think if Mike would like to take that up with me outside of the meeting, it is a very difficult one to deal with. Thanks.
Okay.
I'm happy to do that, Chair. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Davis. Councillor Cuss, please.
Thanks, Chair. I don't know if it's appropriate now to mention in the proposals on page 22 about the A469. Would this come under Councillor Ridgewell's brief?
Yeah, I understand so. Councillor Ridgewell, could you confirm that?
Yeah, okay.
Thank you, Chair. I'm still with you. Yeah, Chair. Councillor Cass, can you expand on your question, please?
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure I'm saying the right thing. As you know, the A469 have had a number of issues over the years. It was closed completely several years ago, and it's it's a strategic road, and it's the only road really down to the south of the borough. Roadworks are currently underway, and the road closure is scheduled on Thursday afternoon for a few hours. I just wanted to know, is this a priority for this authority to get this road sorted once and for all? Because this has been going on now for several years. You know, when the repairs are done on Thursday, we're still going to go back to single lane traffic. So I'm just wondering, when are the options going to come forward to us so we can lobby Welsh Government to get this road done once and for all? Thank you.
Well, thank you, Councillor Cuss. Very important question. Councillor Ridgewell, are you able to expand on that?
Yeah. Thank you, Carl. I mean, clearly we all share your concerns over this particular route. I mean, and it is absolutely critical because it's the north-south link. There is work ongoing on this currently, and probably it's better to have officers come in to give you the full detail on this. But I'm aware there is we have consultants looking at the whole issue. There is a long-term plan, and ultimately the intention is to ensure that route is either safe or, in fact, actually rerouted. But if there's officers here could give better details than me, it might be useful at this moment in time.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Ridgewell. Councillor Julian Simmons, please.
Thank you, Chair. I'll keep the camera off if I can because the signal's not that brilliant here.
Is Mark going to come in?
Yes, go on, Carl. Sorry.
Sorry, Mark Williams had his hand up. He was going to.
Sorry, I didn't see that. Mark Williams, if you'd like to answer the previous question, then before I move on to Councillor Julian Simmons.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. Yes, Councillor Cuss, we're in the final throes of the options appraisal for the road. We've had consultants looking at this for a while, as you know. Unfortunately, the solutions are not easy. The options vary, the costs vary significantly. Some of them would require a complete road closure to be able to do works, others a partial road closure. So we are in the process of evaluating those options at the minute, due to take something in front of the corporate management team very shortly. And then obviously we will engage with local members in terms of local members and the cabinet in terms of a way forward.
Can I bring in Councillor Morgan as well?
Yes, thanks, Chair. And just to answer Councillor Cuss's question, yes, it is a very high priority for this cabinet. We understand the need for the resilience to that road. It's not only the only roads going south, it's the road that enables people to go north and join the A465 as well. So, you know, we totally understand the need to keep this road resilient for the future.
Okay. Mark Williams, you've got your hand up still. Would you want to come back in, or is that an old hand?
No, sorry, Chair, it's an old hand.
Excellent. All right, thank you. All right then, Councillor Julian Simmons, please.
Thank you, Chair. Just a question or a comment. With manufacturers, car manufacturers, bringing their dates forward to produce electric cars and phasing out diesel and petrol vehicles, are we going to have sufficient charging points within the borough to handle this? I'm thinking a lot of manufacturers have been bringing forward their dates, like Volvo and Jaguar. So I just really want to know, really, are we going to have sufficient points in the future to cope with the increase in demand? Thank you.
Okay. Is an officer able to come in on that technical issue, or would Councillor Morgan like to come in?
I'm quite happy to say it from my point of view that we've installed electric charging points at 11 car parks, and the uptake has been good with them. People are starting to use them to charge. We are fitting charging points around our buildings where we deem them necessary as we convert to electric vehicles. But he's quite right in pointing that out, because as manufacturers bring their dates forward, it certainly brings more urgency to us to make sure that we are working with others to put that infrastructure in place, and we will continue to do so. I don't know if Mark has got anything to add.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. Yeah, we've, as Councillor Morgan said, we've done a joint project across Gwent in terms of infrastructure in car parks. One of the big challenges going forward for all valley authorities, valley communities, is the ability to install on-street charging in areas where there's a large number of terraced houses, and this is something that we are putting forward as a potential project for the Cardiff Capital Region Research Project to look at. But yeah, there is still a lot of work to be done on charging points. And the other big obstacle, obviously, is the Western Power infrastructure to be able to serve those charging points, because it just isn't there, particularly when you talk about rapid charging.
Thank you, Mark. And to bring in Councillor Ridgewell before I go on to the final question. Councillor Ridgewell?
Yeah, thanks, Chair. I think that Sean and the officers have answered this, really. I mean, the critical thing is that we're at the beginning of a journey, and I think all of us are feeling our way in this particular instance. It's not unique to this authority. It's something that the whole of the nation is trying to grapple with. We have specific issues in the valleys here, clearly, because of the topography, because of the types of housing, but it is an absolute #1 priority, and I just want to reinforce that.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Ridgewell. Councillor Colin Mann, please.
Chair, on the charging issue, especially with what Mark Williams said a couple of minutes ago, are we looking at rapid charging rather than the slow charges that appear in a lot of places? I've also got one on. I've also got another one, Chair. Shall I put the two in, or?
Put that one in first, and then when you get the answer, just put the second one in. Okay.
Okay.
Is
Thanks,
Mark
Chair.
Williams or Sean able to come in on that one, or John?
I think basically that the question had been answered by Mark Williams. It is lots of the charging infrastructure is down to whether Western Power Distribution can give us access, and if they are the fast chargers, there is quite a heavy use of electricity, and the infrastructure has got to be able to deal with that. But yes, we are looking at them.
Yeah,
Okay.
thanks, Sean. I mean, obviously, with the terraced houses and people taking it in turns, probably, it is obviously important for people to be on and off as quickly as they can. So, sorry, the other one was about the sustainable travel, and in particular, park and ride situations. I'm in favour of park and ride to keep people off the A470 going to Cardiff. But you will be aware that there is a proposal for possibly a large park and ride in the community that myself and Rob Goff represent. Are we actually reviewing the need for such as park and ride facilities? Because obviously commuting to work has radically changed, and a lot of people feel that this change will be largely retained for the future, with people working in the way that we're working now.
A good question, Councillor Mann. Councillor Morgan?
Yeah, I'm happy to come in on that. Yes, you're quite right, Councillor Mann. There may well be a change in the relationship with people in how they travel to work. We are still promoting active travel. We will still continue down the road that we are going along at the moment, while we do see what the impacts of COVID and agile working does have on public transport and public transport use. But we are not going to put a stop to it at the moment and wait for the outcome of that. We'll continue in the direction that we are moving, but always with an eye to that. And just to say, something I would like to add. There's 4 members of the cabinet attended a carbon literacy training this morning, and we'll be attending another one next week as well. And it just to show the commitment of the cabinet towards carbon reduction in this borough. All these things are so important to us.
Okay, thank you, Sean. Is that okay, Councillor Mann?
Yeah, I wasn't asking for a stop. I was asking for a review, because obviously the size of the facilities may well need looking at.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Mann. Okay, thank you, Councillor Morgan and Councillor Ridgewell. We move on to wellbeing objective number 5 now. That's creating a county borough that supports a healthy lifestyle. Can I call in Councillor John Ridgewell to lead on this, please, again?
Thank you, Chair. A bit slow with the buttons here. They're not very happy this evening. Apologies for that.
Not a problem.
Yeah. So yeah, in terms of wellbeing objective 5, this is about creating a county borough that supports a healthy lifestyle, and it's in accordance with the Sustainable Development Principles within the Wellbeing and Future Generations Act, which we're all aware of, the 2015 Act. A wide-ranging suite of proposals again then, but I think rather than go through everything, I'd like to just touch on a few of the key areas and the ones that perhaps impact on us very much and we appreciate so much during this particularly difficult time. And I want to refer to our green spaces. There can be no doubt that we've all gained so much from this awful experience in terms of being able to get out and use the areas that we have locally. We're blessed with fantastic scenery, but we're equally fortunate to have some amazing country parks and urban parks, and recognizing that there will be a focus within the next few years on a number of issues. And if I can just bring your attention to something called the Premier Parks Programme, a subject to funding being approved at a future date. Let's be fair, where we are now. The plan is to look at enhancing some of our key parks, and there are certainly 4 key parks in the county borough that really need to be looked at. There's Astrodmonic Park, which is serving our central area, Wainvar Park over on the eastern side, and Morgan Jones Park, which has had investment already but mustn't ever be left behind. And I think critically, from my point of view, Bargoed Park, a key park in the north of the borough. So we're looking at doing that, investing in there, enhancing facilities, and as my colleague Sean has already touched on, the addition of on-site catering, which I think is so useful these days. Linked to this, there are also plans to obtain national recognition, for these high-quality provisions, and that's through seeking the Green Flag Award, which you'll all be aware of is the national standard for quality green spaces. And perhaps one of the other things that I think is worth referencing this evening is something which I think we're all going to be benefiting from, and that's the Community Empowerment Fund. This is a completely new initiative which we're bringing online now, which will provide residents with the funding and support necessary for improvement projects that will make environmental projects that will make a real improvement to the areas where they live. And this is going to be rolled out, and I think it's one of the most exciting things that we've been doing in terms of the environment for many, many years. I'll leave it at that point, Chair, and welcome questions again.
Well, thank you, Councillor Ridgewell, for that. That was very interesting. Can I go to questions now? The first questioner, Councillor Andy Wickham.
Thank you, Chair. Thanks very much. I agree. I think the Community Engagement Fund is an exciting new development, and it's that I'd like a question that somebody can answer. The amount of money contained with it, could that be utilised by local community groups as a form of match funding to bolster monies that may receive from the Welsh Church funds or lottery grants? Councillor Morgan, you only use the phrase more bang for your buck. Would this enable more localised bang for your buck, as it were, that if we identified localised projects and attach them to other means of funding that are not open to council groups, but are open to voluntary groups? Is there a provision for match funding within this, please? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Wickham. Before I call Councillor Morgan in, can we all please to try and mute our microphones? There's a little bit of background information being picked up then. Okay, Councillor Morgan.
Yeah, thank you for the question, Councillor Whitcomb. Yes, there is. Not only is there an element of match funding, it is a necessity to have buy-in from the community. So whether it's match funding in the form of cash money, or whether it's match funding in the form of volunteers and volunteer time. But either way, there has to be an element of community buy-in, and it needs to be shown in that way. Yeah.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Cabinet Member. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Williams. Councillor Tom Williams. Tom, you're on mute. If I've said that, I've said it 100 times over this, not this meeting, but everyone else before. Okay, Councillor Tom Williams.
Yes, can I just follow it up, which I mentioned about Caerphilly Basin, it's all to do with money, and it's a question that I'd like to know. It says 36 million identified for potential development that includes leisure on a brownfield site. Where exactly is this site located, and what leisure provision is planned for it? And, you know, because what is also said is that if you look at in the report, the current leisure centre at Caerphilly has already had 150,000 spent upgrading its health suite. Now, we all want to see how communities really benefit. There's no doubt about that. But these are questions. Another question I'd like to ask, and is another one then that is closer to where I'm living.
Okay. Well, in terms of the first one about the Caerphilly Basin, maybe if I could ask the Cabinet Member to come in on that, Councillor Morgan.
Yeah, okay, thank you, Chair. Yeah, there is there's a couple of brownfield sites area in the Caerphilly Basin. Many of you may be aware of them. When it says mixed-use facility, including it's not just leisure. It says a combination of education, leisure, housing, and employment. Because we are looking at all those possibilities, and what we like to see and what we would wish to see is a lot of crossover. We like to make the best use of all our facilities. So if we're going to be putting something to do with education there, it makes a lot of sense to put something to do with leisure there. Could that leisure be available in the evenings and on weekends for the public? Yes, that is the kind of thing that we are looking to do. But you know, this is very early days, but we do recognise that there is a need for that kind of development in the basin.
Okay, Councillor Williams, would you like to come back, and then I'll call in other questioners then.
Well, you know, it's I'd like to have that obviously informed. Be informed either through emails or whatever, so that we can answer that to the people that you know that confronts us with what's going on. And can I ask you another one question?
Another one, and then I'll bring in the other questioners then, Councillor Williams.
Okay, it's on page 21, and it says 5.5 million is proposed spend on a centre for vulnerable learners at Pont Grammar School. This also mentions that there will be indoor and outdoor sporting provision. Now, further to the question is, as Pontland Ffraeth Leisure Centre is directly opposite the school and currently offers indoor and outdoor sports, does this mean that Pontland Ffraeth Leisure Centre will continue to be open for indoor and outdoor sports?
Thank you, Councillor Williams. I'm not sure we can go into the detail of Pontland Ffraeth Leisure Centre in this meeting. I'll call in Councillor Morgan to try and answer part of the question, but just need to be mindful that this is about the place shaping plan going forward. So, Councillor Morgan, is this something?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's an education thing, really, but I will come back and say what I just said, that we intend to make the most use of the facilities that we've got. So if we can expand on the sports facilities in that area and allow evening and weekend use for members of the public, whatever sporting provision we decide on putting at the Centre for Vulnerable Learners, surely that is just a net gain for the people in the area. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Morgan. Can I bring in Councillor Margaret Sargent, please?
Thank you, Jamie. I have a question on park runs. It's on page 24, and there's no money allocated. Can you tell me what the plan is, what the aspiration is with these park runs, please?
I can certainly come in on that, Chair.
Right.
The aspiration with the park run is identifying an area suitable for a park run, because the park runs themselves, they shouldn't need any major investment, but they do need an area where people can safely run and have toilet facilities and parking facilities. So our intention is to identify an area and to see if we can identify volunteers who would like to run the further park run in the borough. The one that we have at Penalta Park is massively successful. It's incredible that the amount of people who are missing this during the COVID pandemic, because you can't hold those events, but it was running into the hundreds every Saturday. So if we could have another one of those in the borough, it's more power to the the health and well-being of the borough.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now, don't tell me I'm in the wrong section again, Jamie, if you want. Okay. But I still want to discuss the town centre in Caerphilly, and I also want to discuss the housing this plan for Caerphilly town centre.
Well, we've got proposed developments in the Caerphilly Basin. I'm not sure if you wanted to come in under that. Perhaps I could, if you ask your question, Margaret, what I'll do is I'll bring in other members after your second one, so that it's not taken up by one member.
The proposals to build in Caerphilly, there's quite a few that are ongoing, isn't there? As Sean mentioned earlier on, from one of the councillors asked a question, I think it was Councillor Cuss, on the main road from Derry down through to Caerphilly, and how important that road is. I want to know what infrastructures are going to be put in place before any developments are made in Caerphilly, because at the moment you are queuing anywhere you want to move in Caerphilly. So another one house is going to cause issues. So can I be assured that all councillors are going to have information on any plans for Caerphilly?
Well, thank you, Councillor Sargent. Before I bring in the Cabinet member, any such developments, as I think I said at the start of the meeting, will be subject to business cases and planning committee meetings, and all of these questions, I totally understand the point you make, will be robustly discussed by members of the planning committee and by ward councillors. So that will be happening.
That's my point, Jamie. That is my point. It's not just ward councillors.
No, and
it's the Upper Valley, Van, Caerphilly, Ystrad, Hengoed.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
It would be subject to the normal processes. Can I bring in Councillor Morgan to just comment on the process?
Yeah. Well, I mean, first of all, you're absolutely right, Chair. Each development will be subject to its own business case, consultation, planning, application, and such like. At which point it does the transport element of it does come into play. As has been discussed earlier, we have yet to really know and understand the impacts of the COVID pandemic, the changes in work practices, the agile working, all those things. But when we are talking about housing and leisure at a significant brownfield site in Caerphilly, whether we are talking about the development of Pentrabain Street, all these are thought of as being town-centric developments, and I would suggest that the building of the new transport interchange there, with trains running through there at least every 15 minutes to both Romney and Cardiff, electric trains running through there. You'll be aware of the investment that's been given to work with Stagecoach to get electric buses in the borough. We need an interchange there which is up to the standard to be an all-electric interchange, as well as taxi charging points and what have you out there. So we are trying to move away from the car with these town-centric developments and have more active travel and public travel usage.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Morgan.
Thank you for that, Sean. I look forward to future planning and what have you. Can I go back to my Caerphilly town now to speak to Sean about Park Lane?
Okay. Right.
On page 58 and on page 19, it mentions, oh damn, I got the pages wrong again. It's 18 and 24. Now, page 18 mentions £10 million to develop Park Lane for a hotel. And then on page 24, it mentions 150,000 for a pop-up market. Now, I don't want to assume anything, but can you tell me what's happening with this hotel? Has it fallen through? Or is it still ongoing? Or that's my only question. I'd like to know what is happening.
Okay, thanks, Margaret. Yes, we did have strong interest in this area for the development of a hotel. The pandemic put pay to that, unfortunately, as you're all aware. You know, the hotel business, the tourism business has really had a significant blow. So no surprise really when the developers pulled out. We have acquired the Specsavers building on the end of Park Lane there on Cardiff Road, and the demolition of that could go some way to making the site even more attractive for a potential developer. But in the meantime, what could be a good and beneficial use of that area? It could be to put a pop-up market there, which could perhaps operate on a Wednesday and a Saturday, and it's the kind of market that could be the incubator of people wanting to try new businesses, often before they then could move into shops or what have you. But that's the idea.
Okay, thank you, Sean. Can I come back, please? Can I just ask the question on this 10 million? Has it been used? Is it earmarked for the hotel? If it is, can it be placed somewhere else?
Yeah, thanks, Margaret. That £10 million is recognised there isn't Caerphilly Council's money to spend. That is the recognised estimated cost of building a hotel and operating an hotel at that site. So this would be third-party spend, not Caerphilly County Borough.
It would be nice if we could have had a little bit more information on how much was coming out of CCBC and where everybody else's money is coming from. But thank you for your comments, Sean. I appreciate it.
If I can just come in, I think we've lost Jamie. I think he's fallen off the call. So I don't know whether you want me to carry on.
Councillor Kirby, yeah, Councillor Kirby can take over.
But yeah, I just noticed he's gone.
Councillor Kirby.
Oh yes. Hi. Where's Jamie? I just nipped out.
I think we've lost him. Can you take over for a moment until Councillor Pritchard comes back? It's just going through the list of participants.
Yes, of course. Next to speak will be Councillor Walter Williams, please.
Thank you, Chair. My question is, I got two questions actually for Councillor John Ridgewell. The first one, this borough is 80% rural. Yet a lot of the spend on this project is all urban. Now, I have problems in my ward, and I go to countryside, and the first thing I'm told is, oh, our budget's been cut, or we haven't got the workforce to do this. When I'm looking to have repairs on bridleways and rights of way, which is a big part of my ward, you know. John, Councillor Ridgewell, are we going to have an investment in the countryside department under Phil Griffiths, or have we got to struggle on like we are? That's the first question.
Councillor Williams. Councillor Ridgewell.
Yeah, thank you for your question, Walter, and a very valid question too. No, you can be assured that the Premier Parks programme I referred to was not just about urban parks. I referenced those because of their specific location really within the borough. But yes, the expenditure that we're looking at, it will encompass the whole of our green space portfolio, and that will clearly include country parks. They are equally as important as our urban parks. And if I misled anybody with my statement at the beginning, I apologise. You can be comfortable with that.
Thank you, Councillor Ridgewell. Can I just clarify, please? Country parks are really important, of course. I absolutely agree. But I think Councillor Williams was asking about investment in rural areas as well as urban.
Yes.
Fine. Okay. Yeah. Thank you for that too. Okay. In terms of rural investment, you kind of caught me on the hop. I've got to be honest with you. But in the main, our funding doesn't encompass a great deal of that. If you're talking about the areas that you and I have discussed previously, and specifically with regard to bridleways and that sort of thing, then I think I've answered it in my first question. If you're talking about the wider countryside, clearly, I mean, the issue there is that a lot of it isn't in our ownership. It's in private ownership. So perhaps you could just clarify exactly the point you want me to try and answer.
Thank you. Councillor Williams.
Yes, thanks. Well, the point I want to answer is, because my ward is made up of 4 villages, they are joined by rights of way and bridleways. And this is an important part, especially when you talk about Manmoyle, where they've got the equestrian centre, where they need the bridleways. So we need the investment into this type of thing, you know, and not just a couple of £1,000 just to tidy it up every year. It's got to be a big investment.
Thank you, Councillor Williams.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I thought that was what you were alluding to. Yes, indeed. Well, I think my previous answer perhaps goes some way to answering the question. The funding that's being made available will be spread across all our green spaces portfolio. That will include countryside, and in that case, we are talking about funding that will be spent on the sort of things that you're talking about as well. I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, thanks. The second question, please.
Go ahead, Walter.
You mentioned about this community empowerment fund. Well, in your, well, you can't see it on the, but there's a a proposal for a cottage pond walk, and that was supposed to have been developed when the countryside Sarawi Valley Walk was developed, but the money was taken back by Welsh Government because it wasn't spent. Now I'm wondering, how would I go about putting this into that community empowerment fund? Who have I got to send this to, and is it to you or another officer?
Well, I think I have to give you top marks for being first on the queue. I mean, certainly that's impressive. I think the situation really is, Walter, that at this moment in time, we haven't bottomed out precisely the mechanics of how we're going to deliver that funding, and there is further discussion to be taken, to be considered, before we can actually do that. So I think that given the circumstances, I think put that on hold, and we'll get back to you as soon as we can with some sort of an answer when we've got an idea of precisely how we're going to work out the expenditure.
Thank you, Councillor.
Okay, thank you, John.
I'm going to hand over to Jamie, who's fortunately rejoined us. But before I do that, let's go to the leader, please. Would you like to contribute?
Thank you. Thanks, Chair. Yeah, in answer to your question, really, Walter, it's really important, isn't it, that we look at the details of all these community empowerment funds. To me, this is going to be such a strong element of the funding that we're making available for our communities. And the sort of project you talked about is likely the sort of thing that would come off under that guise. But the problem is we haven't worked out the details of that. We're still very much working through the details of that community empowerment fund and how we can explore the use of that money in your area. So it's important, isn't it, that we all keep that in the back of our mind, that when these things come up, and my ward is very similar to yours, made up of 4 villages strung out along a valley, so they need those connecting areas. They need to be, and we need to be proud of those areas. So these are the exact things that we hope this community empowerment fund will give us the opportunity to develop further. Thanks, Chair, for letting me come in.
Thank you, Leader. And now let Councillor Pritchard resume the chair.
Thank you, Councillor Kirby. The joys of modern technology, eh? Thanks for stepping in so ably. Okay, can I bring in Councillor Roy Cerrales, please?
Yeah, please cut me dead if I'm wandering away here, Councillor Chairman. But in terms of place shaping, what always concerns me and has done for some time and doesn't seem to be evident in any proposal is a way of resolving the issue of litter. Now, are there any proposals for any initiatives that would assist in us overcoming this losing battle that we have against litter right through the borough? Thank you, Chair.
I wonder if Councillor Ridgewell might want to come in. I know it's not. It may be something that the Community Empowerment Fund might support, anti-littering sort of campaigns, such and such forth. Or maybe Councillor George, if he's available.
I'm happy to just speak on that initially. I think we all recognise that what Councillor Cerrales is saying is absolutely true. It's endemic, and not just in this county borough. Let's be fair; it's something that we have to face universally. So it's always at the forefront of our thinking as how we might do this, and it has been discussed at various times in Cabinet about what we might do. The specifics of that haven't been actually bottomed out at this moment in time, other than a commitment in terms of wishing to get it addressed. It could be the Community Empowerment Fund could be used for that, but of course it's worth remarking on the fact that we have an awful lot of volunteer help now, and it's already been touched on, I think, this evening. The opportunities to exploit that amazing pool of volunteers who want to come and help us now is something that we're keen to do. But I think when it comes to the overall litter collection, it's probably better my colleague Councillor George has an answer for that one.
Okay, Councillor Nigel George, can I bring you in?
Yeah, thank you. There's a number of schemes being launched at the moment, or have been launched, but some of them have been put back because of the pandemic. There's one by the Caru Cymru partnership, which they're rolling out. That's funded by the Welsh Government, and it's basically around dog fouling, roadside littering, and they're targeting about 30 trials at the moment. What they're looking at is setting up litter hubs, which is basically the members of the public could go to a library or a leisure centre and borrow the equipment to go litter picking. But funny enough, I had a conversation about it today. There's so many members of the public asking for equipment at the moment, we seem to be running out of bags. But there are things available. If you want to, Roy, I'll send some information to you.
Yeah, I just wanted to come back on this because it's the source is the problem. If we don't seem to be addressing the source on anything with this, do we have any initiatives with companies that generally not create the litter but are the source of the litter, companies like McDonald's and whatever else there is out there in terms of takeaways? Is there any initiatives that we can follow up with them as well?
Can I bring in Mark Williams and then Councillor Morgan, and then we'll move on to the next one.
Thank you very much, Chair.
Thanks, Chair. Yeah, Councillor Cerrales, the Welsh Government are at present consulting on a litter and fly tipping strategy for Wales, and I expect local authorities to be quite robust in their responses. I mean, one of the things that has been called for over the last 12 months or so is for vehicle registrations to be printed on takeaway food containers. So you stop at McDonald's drive-through. You know, I obviously live in Blackwood, and I know sort of Harry's Hill down to Britannia, it must be the exact driving distance where people eat at McDonald's and toss it out the window. We could clean that hill daily and it would still be a mess. It's absolutely unbelievable, and I despair with it. So I expect responses like that to go back to Welsh Government. We will certainly be robust in our response. Really, the key to this is enforcement. Some work needs to be done with the courts. Fine levels probably need to be increased. And obviously burden of proof needs to be made a little bit easier. But I expect there to be lots of things suggested to Welsh Government in terms of the response to this consultation.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mark. Councillor Morgan, please. Did you want to come in?
No, thank you, Chair. No, Mark covered off what I wanted to say. Thank you.
Excellent. Okay. Councillor James Fussell, please.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Yeah, Margaret Sargent stole a bit of the thunder in relation to Park Lane. I was the recipient of an email from an officer who advised me, on Friday, that, shall we say, I'll call it the pie in the sky option of developing a 4-star hotel at Park Lane. There was a meeting in March of 2019, which was held by CADU, Welsh Government officers, county borough officers, and Welsh Tourism Agency, and the comment there was that this was effectively a dead duck, and it's sort of been a prolonged stranglehold for the last couple of years, unfortunately, to come to the conclusion where we are now. I'd love to see the area that's currently wasteland opened up, where we've had conversations with officers back in September of last year, but nothing's moved forward. There are reports in terms of place shaping going back to 2019 equally, which nothing's happened, and that probably refers to the parking outside of the castle on Market Street for allowing buses to pick up and drop off for the castle. But in terms of looking at this positively, and there's some great okay, through housing associations like Link, what we said, they're probably the only developers that look to develop around areas of lacking in investment in the first place. So glad that we were able to see that coming through, but obviously that's for a different part of the town. But just to get things underway, we've got some quick wins that we need to start thinking of working with local town councils as well as what we can do ourselves. I've got another within the email I had on Friday. There's a comment about cleansing, and we'd already met up with a cleansing operative through the town council, and we've offered through the town council to act and add extra bin capacity to the town centre, because lots of people are walking around the town and depositing in full bins, which ends up meaning that it ends up on the floor. So talking about having to attack town cleansing programs, capacity is an issue, and making it a better place to get to. And I appreciate this is on point 5, but on point 4, in terms of active travel and traffic calming, that is fundamental in terms of getting people into the town and having a usable town, and perhaps people will take more respect on it if we can get traffic to really slow down or even to bypass the town centres. So I applaud the implementation of cycle lanes. I'm sure that'll come through the town centre because cyclists do use the pavements. But these are small, little, quick wins in some respect that I think we're missing out on, and we probably should try and engage with certainly town councils in terms of what can be happening in town centres. And when I have an email which says we haven't got the funding to do this, well, you know, enter into the conversation really, and equally for town centres in Caerphilly particularly, Cadw have been wanting to throw money at the castle, a significant amount of millions, and why don't we look to join in with Park Lane there? But the worst thing I feel is that we're not getting any of the debate, we're not getting the conversation piece. To be stuck out on a limb for 6 months or more when you've asked the questions back in September, it's a bit disappointing. I'd like to see that sort of a bit more joined up thinking. Cycle lanes, great. Traffic calming, great. Bring it on. Also, Councillor Ridgewell, next bikes. We don't see any investment in that at all, and there's lots of areas where that could benefit and get people into the towns from the outer regions, and perhaps linking up with Caerphilly Landscape Partnership, which is part of the Drythan Waterloo. They've got significant amount of capital funding that can assist in adding to the walking schedules, but that it's a bit of a tirade perhaps, but I think we need to be thinking of getting the quick wins done, getting the town centres looking a lot better, and there's lots of help out there. We just need cooperation. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Fussell. Obviously, we haven't been subject to the emails that you've had over the last 6 months, but could I maybe call
Sorry, Chair.
Councillor Sean Morgan to answer the point regarding Park Lane?
The point is, Chair, that I haven't had any reply since a meeting with officers, and that's the disappointing thing about it. I'm not privy to it. I'm not privy to emails.
If you can take that up outside of the meeting, then we can move forward. Councillor Morgan.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Chair. Yeah. I would like to say to Councillor Fussell that I will certainly look into why he hasn't had a reply in what he says is 6 months. When it comes to the pie in the sky statement for the hotel in Park Lane, that's a great challenge. I don't believe it's pie in the sky whatsoever. Welsh Government has recognised Caerphilly as a town of significance in the valleys, one of 7 towns that has been recognised by Welsh Government as key towns. There is, as he's mentioned, been a significant £5.5 million is being invested into the castle through Cadw, and the intention there is to double. I think there's approximately 125,000 visitors per annum at the moment. Not only are we looking to get 250,000 visitors so that it becomes a tier 1 destination, and Caerphilly Council have regular meetings with Cadw so that we working together on this, but there is also an appetite to increase the dwell time, and of course a hotel will go a long way to help in increase the dwell time and therefore increase the spend in the area. So the intention is to make it a tourist destination in the South Wales Valleys properly.
Thank you, Councillor Morgan. Councillor John Roberts, please.
Thank you, Chair. Diolch yn iawn, gwerthfawrogi. It's about the Community Empowerment Fund, really. I'm glad that somebody remembered that similar has been done before, that a long time ago, pockets of money were available for ward councillors if there wasn't a partnership board in their area. And when there was a partnership board had that spend. Whoever remembered that and decided to spin on it and grow it, I think well done, good pat on the back. This is a good thing. Then I'm listening tonight, lots of really good words, positive things, and Councillor Williams came up and he explained urban and rural. Now, as well as that, when we look at all of this, an awful lot of wards are going to have an awful lot done, and that's a good thing because we're all in Caerphilly. some of the wards aren't going to get that much done. So when you look at the Community Empowerment Fund, there's a chance there for those wards to put in cases which will be examined and hopefully rewarded or awarded if we all work together in this, and we're looking for community buy-in, aren't we? With that in mind, I think it would be a good thing, and especially when you say the idea of working it out hasn't started yet, haven't thought of the expenditure, haven't really worked it out, so it hasn't really started. Having said that, when you look at 0.328 million, we could do really, please, with an increase there to begin with, so the pot is a bigger pot for all of us to look in. I think that would be a good idea. It's a really good idea. It needs more money in, please. Diolch yn fawr.
Well, thank you, John. Obviously, that part will be going into the budget, the 328 million. So if every member supports the budget, then that's at least what we'll be getting on Thursday. Mark S. Williams, can I bring you in, please? Mark Williams, is that an old hand?
Yeah, sorry, Jamie.
Okay.
Didn't take the hand down.
Okay. Councillor Carmen Bazina, please.
Okay. Thanks, Jamie. Apologies for the camera off. It's just I'm having problems with Teams tonight. I guess I just need some clarity, and also on behalf of my other ward members, Councillor Gare and Councillor David, I understand tonight, and this is what we need clarity on, that we're voting for the framework and the individual projects. Overall, I think we're going to be doing outstanding work across the borough. But there's one thing, obviously, that Councillor Miles mentioned earlier about the expansion of employment opportunities. Sorry, the renewable scheme from Bryn to Drummond, and I certainly don't want my name on that project. So are we having a split vote? Are we voting tonight?
Can I just, if you go to the agenda, 1.1 is the attached report details the wellbeing and place shaping framework, which will be considered by Cabinet on the 24th. And 1.2 is the Joint Scrutiny Committee are asked to consider and comment upon the content of the report prior to the report being presented to Cabinet in February and the Council in March.
Yeah,
now,
I understand that.
If I can just call on Kath Forbes-Thompson just to go through the procedure, just to ensure members are absolutely 100% clear on
we
what's
do
in
need to
front
be
of them.
clear on this, Jamie.
Yes.
Yes,
Kath,
yes, Chair. Yes, Chair. It's basically, this is an opportunity for members to raise their points of view and to comment on the outline proposals. Because it's going to council eventually, that's where a vote will be taken. So it's not a pre-decision for Cabinet. It is barely an opportunity to be consulted on it prior to Cabinet and then be voted on when it goes to council.
Okay. So,
thank you for that. Can I just say, Jamie, please, that can we have it recorded that you know, our one huge concern is around the Bryn to Drummond plant, the electricity grid. Thank you.
Okay. Well, that's good. That'll be recorded. Councillor Gordon.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to go back to the CVL in Pollen Fry briefly, if I may. I understand, because it's a centre for vulnerable learners, we could get up to around 75% funding from Welsh Government. So if we can put any sort of facility on that site, we get best value for the pound we spend. And if this includes a brand new indoor and outdoor sports facility, it's an absolute no-brainer. It makes absolute common sense. Despite, excuse me, and within 2 to 2.5 mile radius of that area, there are 4 brand new 3G pitches. But I understand.
I think we've lost you there, Councillor Gordon. Because we've lost you, can I move on to Councillor Colin Mann, please?
Chair, I think somebody was muting me. Perhaps they didn't like what I was going to say.
Right. Okay.
What can I just continue? Can I continue?
Yeah, continue.
I don't know how far I got, but I was saying it makes absolute common sense to put every facility on that site that we possibly can, if we can get 75% funding from Welsh Government, which includes an indoor and outdoor brand new sports facility. I've gone on to say that within about 2.5 mile radius of that area, there are 4 brand new 3G pitches. When safe to do so, they will be open to the public. Despite what I understand, what was said in Blackwell Comprehensive Governors meeting sometime.
Okay, let's not go in. Can we not go into governors meeting in Blackwood, please? Please, Colin. Can I move on to Councillor Colin Mann, please?
Thanks, Chair. I just wanted to go back for a moment to the town centre discussion. Sean mentioned, I think, £5.5 million from Cadw to invest in the castle. And you mentioned the dwell time. Obviously, one of the issues with Caerphilly is that people go in, they visit the castle, and they promptly disappear. So the town really gets very little benefit from that visit. So apart from the hotel, what are we actually doing as an authority, and what investment are we putting in to complement the sort of money that is going in from elsewhere?
Councillor Morgan, would you like to come in?
Yeah. Well, Colin will be well aware that we are putting together a plan for Caerphilly Town Centre due to the amount of interest in the town from Welsh Government, and that plan aims to show all of the developments to make Caerphilly Town one of the most significant towns in the valleys. We've already talked about the interchange. We've already talked about Pentrabain Street. We've already talked about the possibility of a brownfield site with mixed housing, leisure, and work. So there is a plan being put together for Caerphilly Town Centre. I know Colin has been party to some of the conversations, as has his colleagues. And the plan, which I think will be called Caerphilly 2035, as it looks forward, and the regeneration of a town, it is a long-term thing. Councillor Mann will be consulted at every stage of that plan.
Thanks, Sean. Can I just say it was the plans to actually keep people in the area for a bit longer, really. That was the specific thing. I appreciate the other things that are happening, but I just wondered what was happening on that front.
Okay, we are looking to put the coach pull in at the front of the castle there, and at the rear of the castle on Crescent Road, we're working with the developer there to not just to have coach facilities, which we've already got there, but we're looking to have coach driver facilities. Having coach driver facilities there would give it the coach body association. It would give them the accreditation to be a coach-friendly town, and that all works towards helping increase the dwell time.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Morgan. Councillor Teresa Parry, please. Councillor Teresa Parry, please.
Thank you, Chair. Just to agree with Carmen, actually, I could never have my name associated with any of the dubious practices that the Bryn Group are involved with. And I really would urge the whole of the council not to as well. I know that Councillor Morgan, you would like to have, this electricity supply, but I think the whole council should really think ahead, because it could actually bring this council into disrepute.
Just to re-emphasise what the meeting is about, obviously it's for comments. Those comments have been noted, and at the appropriate stage when it goes to council, members can decide what they want to do then when it comes to a vote. Councillor Bazina?
Thank you.
Is there an old hand, Councillor?
Yes, it is an old hand.
Okay, not a problem. Okay, then we'll now move on then to the last item on the agenda, the Wellbeing Objective 6, to support citizens to remain independent. Before I bring in Councillor Shane Cook, Christina, you've indicated you'd like to come in.
Yes, thank you, Chair. I just want to clear up a little bit of confusion. The report that will ultimately end at council will be for council to note, because the decision on the place shaping framework is a cabinet function. But if I just take you to the recommendations that we're asking this scrutiny committee to consider, is not to vote on individual projects, is to vote on the framework as a whole. As we've articulated throughout this session this evening, is that each individual project will be worked up, and through working each individual project up, it will enter into the appropriate decision-making and scrutiny-making forums that we have. So I totally understand some of the concerns that are being raised around one particular project, but members will have a number of opportunities to shape the views of and the shape of that project in particular, if indeed it proceeds once the business case is developed. So hopefully that's cleared up a little bit of confusion, Councillor. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, Councillor Wyn David.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to record that I don't want to be associated with the Britain Group proposal either, and you know, no way will I support that, even in council.
Okay, thank you, Councillor David. Right, Councillor Shane Cook.
Sorry, my daughter's just come in the room there, knocked him in the room.
I know the feeling, Shane.
Good night. Good night. Thank you, Chair. In relation to 5.8 and wellbeing objective 6.
Can I ask everyone to mute, please? Whatever's phone that is a lovely ringtone, but I don't want to hear it, to be honest. Okay, Shane, carry on.
Thank you, Chair. I'll start again. In relation to 5.8 and wellbeing objective 6, the proposed investment for 2021 onwards are a 4.1 million development of a new purpose-built respite centre facility at Pontefraith, with 4.6 million integrated health facility at Darren. In relation to the respite centre, the authority currently runs 3 respite centres for adults and children: T Hapus in Blackwood, Montclair in Blackwood, and T Gwilym in Enniglyn, Caerphilly. Whilst there are no issues with the provision of care at these facilities, the buildings are very dated and need considerable upkeep and maintenance. An opportunity now arises via the place shaping plan to develop a bespoke and integrated respite facility for adults and children, which will continue to provide excellent care, but will meet the physical standards in place in 2021. Clearly, the existing 3 facilities are very highly thought of by the people who use them and their families, and no changes will be made until these have been full consultation with all groups as well as staff concerned. The place shaping plan provides a real opportunity to deliver respite provision in the borough in a newly developed facility that will be fit for purpose for many years to come. The second proposed investment will be at T Darren. The site of the former T Darren care home in Risca provides real potential to provide integrated services between housing, social services and health. The site already has a health centre on one side of it and the GP surgery on the other side. The exact nature of the provision is still to be finalised. Potential opportunities have been informally discussed with health staff, but it has been difficult for them to engage fully given the work ongoing in the pandemic. Initial options need to be worked through in discussions with local members and the public in order to finalise proposals. However, the aim is to create a zero carbon integrated health centre, residential and community hub, the first of its kind within the county borough. Thanks.
Okay, Councillor Cook, thank you for that. Any questions for Councillor Cook at all? No? Okay. In that case, Councillor Mike Adams.
It takes too long for that hand to actually appear, doesn't it, after you've hit the button. Just want to thank Councillor Cook for that little presentation. Really do welcome the moves to enhance the awful sight that I have every morning I get up and open my curtains of that Pontefraith site. So let's bring it on as fast as we can, because I'm fed up of seeing the gymnasium falling down. And also, yes, T Darren will be a huge supplement to our offering to all the people who need those services. So well done to Shane and all the team in social services. Please, I'd like my name to be associated with that option. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Councillor Adams. Councillor Brendan Miles, please.
Thanks. If we finish going through all the proposals, I've just got a general question that I wanted comments on. Is that okay if I put it now?
Okay.
So on the overall report, and what I wanted to say is this is brilliant news, and this massive injection of investment into the county borough in all those different projects that we've talked about tonight is fantastic, and it'll improve the well-being across the borough enormously. There's no doubt about that. But I feel that but any residents who listen to this meeting, there'll be a burning question that they'll want to ask, and therefore I want to ask it, even though I sort of know the answer. But it'll be, you know, where's the money coming from, and are council residents going to have to pay for all these investments through increases in their council tax?
Yeah, I think Councillor Miles, if I could just come in, if I could refer you back to what the Chief Exec has said, and perhaps if I can ask the Chief Exec to come back in again. I mean, that was mentioned in terms of the various streams of funding available. It's not solely from the council, 200 odd million. Maybe if Councillor Morgan is indicated, so perhaps Councillor Morgan, in that case, you'd like to come in.
Yeah. Thank you, Chair. Yeah, this is the council is very much the enabling body, and we work together to put different organisations and different funding pots together. I know Councillor Miles is very much aware, as she sits on the Regeneration Board with me, and we have had that Regeneration Board has had a budget of circa £1.5 million, and that £1.5 million has leveraged into the borough somewhere in the region of £95 million worth of funding. So often residents will see that, you know, there's £30 million being spent here or £60 million being spent there, and they may well be unaware that often that is grant money or money associated with the third party. And Caerphilly Council, we're certainly not rich. We work as an enabler more than the deliverer completely of all these projects.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Morgan. Councillor Kirby.
Thank you, Chair. Really, I'd just like to echo the last two speakers. I absolutely endorse what Councillor Miles has said about how welcome this overall plan is for our county borough. I think it's going to bring huge benefits, and I fully support the principles underlying it. And also what Councillor Adams said about the initiatives that Shane outlined. Clearly, I'll welcome investment in Pont and Price. I think that centre is going to be very, very welcome. But also the investment in the wider Isloin area, in Tydarran area, that's going to be very welcome too. That's all I really wanted to say. Thank you, Chair.
Oh, thank you, Councillor Kirby. Councillor Bob Owen.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Yeah, just on Tydarran, really, it's in my ward. I've had a lot of conversations with officers over the last 3 or 4 years with reference to it, so I'm obviously very welcoming of what could happen there. But as the Cabinet member said, we need to be in discussion with the local ward members, and I would welcome that to happen sooner rather than later, so that we can start to tell the people exactly what's going on that particular project and hopefully some others.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'll bring in Councillor Shane Cook as the Cabinet member, and then we'll go to other questioners then. Councillor Cook.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Pritchard. Yeah, I just echo, I'll pass any information I get to Councillor Owen and keep updated.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Cook. Councillor Kevin Etheridge, please.
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to, it's a general question on resources, consultation, engagement, and there's 2 points. Firstly, going back to the placemaking agenda, as we know, the 4 fixed-term project managers for 368,000 was agreed at Cabinet, and the agreement of 1.8 million was agreed. But my concern, your Chair, is the consultation and engagement of residents. It says in the report that there will be engagement and consultation, but I believe that we should establish focus groups where we actually go to the residents on each of the service provisions. And I believe we should do that prior to Cabinet agreeing the report, which they're going to agree on Wednesday, so I understand. I think it's very important that we get the community and we get residents' involvement at this stage prior to the Cabinet agreeing the report. And what I'd like to propose is that we, as a scrutiny committee, and I don't know if I'll get anybody seconded it, but we propose as a scrutiny committee that we have a full engagement and consultation exercise through June, July, August, and Cabinet defer the report on Wednesday until the autumn, where we've got all the information from the public. We've engaged them in various matters and they've given their views. So that is the first point, Chair. The second point is for the Chief Executive, for Christina. And please tell me, Christina, if I'm now out of order, because I could be out of order, because this could be an operational matter. I understand on the 5th of February, an email from Team Caerphilly was sent to everybody regarding the transformation agenda, excluding councillors. And you asked members of staff for an expression of interest by the 26th of February. My concern here is there doesn't seem to be any mention in that report of union involvement.
Can I come in, Councillor Etheridge? I mean, yeah. I'm conscious not, a lot of members have, wouldn't know anything about whatever this email was. I appreciate that, that there's other avenues in which you can raise this with the chief exec or the leader. Can I just ask you to maybe do that outside of the meeting? If I can bring in the leader first and then come back to Councillor Etheridge, we just don't want this going off kilter. Leader.
Thank you. And obviously there were several things you were raising there, Councillor Etheridge, and I think I'd like to emphasise that what we're agreeing to here is a framework. It's an aspirational framework for us to hang our hat on in terms of looking forward to different projects of all shapes and sizes, with different revenue funds, etc. But what you need to understand in all of this is that we will, as individual projects come to the front, we will actually look at our consultation processes. As you know, it'll go through the normal scrutiny or planning processes, as each project or each report will be. And in that, we can look at focus groups and what have you in the round to find out exactly what our residents think of that. But to stop and to curtail at this stage, I think would be, stopping the process where we need to act. We absolutely need to move forward. We need to agree the framework. We need to agree the ambition of this council, where we really want to make a difference for our communities. And that is really, really important. When it comes then to some of the aspects of those projects, absolutely, we will engage. But I do not want to derail the process now, because I think we need to set that agenda, set that framework in motion, so that as things come into play, as you know, many of the things in here are already in train. And we are aware that they're already on a journey. They're on that scrutiny journey. They're on the decision-making journey. So I think it's really important that you understand that going forward, our communities will be the heart of this. They will be the heart of this. It's just you're asking for a delay that I cannot accept, I'm afraid. So I don't know whether Sean wants to come in.
Thank you, Leader. Can I bring in Councillor Morgan, please?
Yeah. Thank you, Chair. Kev, Councillor Etheridge, thanks very much for the question, but I would suggest that this is a high-level document, and when you consult with people in different parts of the borough, they are going to be very interested in things which are in their close vicinity, in their area. but we as councillors are charged with making decisions on a borough-wide basis. Therefore, such a high-level document as this is something that we've been asked by our public when they vote for us, when they put their trust in us, that we are going to make those decisions on their behalf. I will say that I'll just echo what the leader has said, that at each and every stage on the individual projects, we will be consulting with the public. You've heard tonight there is very strong opinion on the anaerobic digester at the Bring Group. We will be consulting not just with those members, but with residents as we move these things forward. We are not afraid to tackle the difficult issues, and those difficult issues come with difficult consultations. Ultimately, we are driven by the public. Thanks, Councillor Etheridge.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Morgan. Can I move on to Councillor Sargent, please?
Can I just say, you've had a motion. I don't know whether you want to see if you want to get a seconder first before you move on.
Okay, then in that case, Councillor Etheridge has put forward a motion. Can you word that for us, Councillor Etheridge, so we're absolutely sure what it is?
The motion was that we have a full consultation exercise with communities and the residents throughout Caerphilly County Borough from July until September, and then Cabinet, a recommendation that Cabinet defer their report on Wednesday until the autumn.
Thank you, Councillor Etheridge. Is there a seconder for the motion? In that case, if there isn't one, then it won't go forward. Okay, Councillor
Jamie, I did put my hand up. Sorry, Councillor Owen.
Okay, Councillor Owen. Okay, Kath, if we go through the other questions and maybe take the vote at the end, can I?
Yeah,
can I ask
that's fine. We'll do that. We can do that at the end and put a vote up.
Not a problem. Councillor Sargent.
Yeah, thank you, Jamie. Philippa, I don't know if this should be directed at you, but in the report there's mention of flood defences, but again, no money attached to it. Can you tell me if you have a plan behind it, please?
You're absolutely right, Councillor Sargent. There's no money attached to that in the table 3, I think it is. But as you know, it's on
page 23.
23, is it? Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, these works are obviously flood defences are something that, you know, we have to look at, and we've had several schemes that have been rolled out over the last few years. I think one of them, so this is, you know, looking at things where we absolutely need to implement a series of flood defences, and that is really important. The money isn't attached because each project will have to be looked at on its own merits and when there's a need, and obviously with the heavy rainfalls that we've had recently, you know, there'll be different areas of the county borough that may have been affected, maybe areas that we've not known about in the past. So absolutely, I think if Mark S. Williams could come in on that.
Mark, are you available?
Yes, for some reason my camera won't switch on, so apologies. I'll have to talk blind. Yeah, as the leader said, obviously, flood schemes are, you know, we're still dealing with the aftermath of Storm Dennis last year. They do need quite a lot of design work, quite a lot of upfront work in terms of design and procurement. So they're not quick fixes, and the money can vary from scheme to scheme.
Okay. Okay, so we'll be kept posted on that.
Just a second, Jamie. Can I come back, please? I understand that Storm Dennis and all the rest of it have taken a lot of finance from the county, but I would have thought there'd have been a budget of some description as fallback. I don't really know what I'm talking about, but I do know that I'd like to see money actually attached to flood defences.
Okay, Councillor Sargent. Well, obviously at the budget meeting in 2 days' time, I look forward to you proposing an additional budget.
I won't be mentioning scale, Jamie. I'd like an answer now.
Yeah, Christina.
Yeah, thank you. This is a project that, as it says in the table, it needs to be confirmed. We're currently working this one up. We recognise a need to invest in flood defences, given what you've just outlined to us. We are aware that there are a number of specific areas that we need to target, so we are currently working those proposals up. We haven't got everything covered off yet in terms of what that list is, and indeed how that funding package will be developed to sit alongside it. So what we are just asking you to consider this evening is the principle of a package of projects that target flood defences across the county borough. Is that something that you support or not? And if you support it, the detail will follow through and you'll be engaged throughout it. Thank you.
And I do support it wholeheartedly, and I will look forward to any reports that come forward. Thank you ever so much.
Thank you, Councillor Sargent. I've got Colin Gordon, and that's the last speaker I've got.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I got to support the leader and the deputy leader, what they said about the meeting on Wednesday. I don't think a decision should be deferred. I think we waited long enough to get to this stage. And if you walk past Pontefraith Comprehensive School, as I did this morning, you can see the state the place is in. And with the two proposals, I welcome it with my two colleagues in Pontefraith. And this is facilities which will benefit the whole of the county.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Gordon. I have got a final speaker, Councillor Angay.
Thanks, Jimmy. I just wanted to have my objections to the Bring Group proposal noted. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Gay. Councillor Marsden.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you. Okay, sorry, I'm having difficulties here. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, great, sorry. Yeah, thank you, everyone, and thank you for bringing me in. As the Chief Exec and my Cabinet colleagues have already outlined, this is a framework for the future, for us to be ambitious for our people and place as we emerge from the pandemic, and shows we are committed to the corporate wellbeing objectives and highlight how we as a council are playing our part on that journey. So I must reiterate that every single project, every single prospective project will be looked at individually, as has already been highlighted, as they will go through the respective scrutiny and planning processes. So I repeat that this is a high-line framework for us to aspire to as we move forward. So I'd just like to say as well in closing really is that I want to say thank you for all your comments this evening and your questions, because I think they've been really useful for us. So I just want to say thank you for your time and taking the time to actually, you know, read the report properly and to scrutinise it, because that's what it's all about. And, you know, we can take some really important messages from you on those very comments. So thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you, Leader, for coming in. Okay, we've got a motion that's been proposed and seconded. Maybe if I could ask Kat's advice, the recommendation in 1.2 is that the Joint Scrutiny Committee are asked to consider and comment upon the content prior to it going to Cabinet. I think I'm on safe ground to say that we've already done that. So can we now move to Councillor Etheridge's motion then? Would that be okay?
Yes, that's correct, Chair. If we could ask if committee can put a poll function up, that would probably make life a bit easier in terms of voting. Okay.
If that could take place then, okay, which they've just done. So obviously it's if you agree with Councillor Etheridge is for, against, and abstain. So is the voting now open?
Yes, Chair.
Okay. Can I ask members to now vote on Councillor Etheridge's motion then? After the vote has taken place, I'll call in Councillor Adams and Councillor Williams, because I think they may have issues with voting. I'm not sure. They've indicated.
That motion has failed, Chair.
Okay. Can I ask, is it Councillor Adams first. Did you have problems voting, Councillor Adams?
Not that I'm aware of. I voted for, but I'm a member of both committees. How many votes do I get?
Councillor Adams, we voted on Councillor Etheridge's motion.
Thank you,
Mike. That's the only vote we'll be taking this evening. Councillor Williams, do you have a question?
Well, no, I'm going to vote for what Etheridge said. So we give out, so we get the consultation from our people. We need that. We need to be listening to them, which is what we've said.
Okay. Well, the vote, as Kath Forbes-Thompson has indicated, has fallen. That brings us to the end of the meeting, members. Can I say to every member who's contributed and who's taken part and has attended, thank you for attending. It's been a very long meeting, but I think we needed to get to the detail of things. So thanks everybody for attending, and see you all soon. You can now stop the recording.